Hello there.
Hey guys, Josh Lloyd here, ready to give you the what to watch for Monday in the NBA. The first game, we take a look at the Pacers and the Sixers. Jeremy Lamb is listed questionable. Now, he had been struggling prior to having this knee soreness which knocked him out halfway through last game. I want to see how he looks, if he plays, and because the direction that he is trending is not good. He has played under 20 minutes in 3 of the last 5 games, not including the game that he had to leave early. And the production has fallen way off. And then with a potential Karis LeVert return coming after the All-Star break, and then TJ Warren later on, I don't think Lamb's prospects season long are all that high. So let's see what he can do. Well, Domantas Sabonis had really been spiking in terms of defensive numbers. He's had 0 steals and 0 blocks in each of the last 2 games, so that's sort of regressing back. Let's see if we can find a happy medium in there. Is he actually an improved defender? How does all that stuff look for him? For the Sixers, Embiid and the thick hogsman Tobias Harris.
I think I am a TH?
T to the H!
Yeah, TH for life.
They're both questionable. Danny Green is the one that stepped up last game with Harris out, putting up big defensive numbers, and he is actually putting up numbers which would make you want to have a look at him in a 12-team format. Now, I'm not saying that he's a must-roster player, because I don't believe that he is. But he is someone that you can have a look at, especially if Harris does happen to be out. Well, Seth Curry had an absolute stinker last game. He is still worth looking at in terms of his amount of shots and threes that he can hit. I don't believe that he's a must-roster guy, but can he do anything, especially in a scenario where Harris and Embiid are out? Is he able to scale his game up somewhat? Next game is the Mavs and the Magic. Joshie Richardson continues to be up and down and continue the majority of the time struggling. I don't think that he is a 12-team league player, but with him and Brunson and Hardaway sort of sharing all those minutes, it is tough to get a peg on which one of those might push into must-roster 12-team league areas. At the moment, Brunson's the better performed player out of that trio, but Richardson probably has the pedigree. And then Dorian Finney-Smith, who's been wildly inconsistent, but when he does put it together, he can be a back-end 12-team league guy. He is only a very limited upside player. He's probably more suited to 14-team leagues, but let's see if he can continue on from last game where he was pretty good. For the Magic, the Chief Al-Farouq Aminu.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
He will likely get another start in place of the injured Aaron Gordon. He will likely put up a steal and a block, which obviously has its uses. He will obviously do very little offensively, but at least him being out there, putting up those defensive numbers can be useful for some fantasy teams. Again, just want to watch what he's able to do, what the minutes look like, and whether he can bring those defensive stats. And then Terrence Ross, really in a downward swing in his production. This is what he does. He'll go back and have hot streaks as we move forward. I wouldn't be dropping him, but I also want to just pay attention to see if he can get out of this funk, get those minutes back up, get the shooting back up, and start providing value that's not just points and threes, which he was doing during his hot streak. Next up is the Jazz and the Pelicans. I imagine that Mike Conley returns in this game after resting last one, so that means Ingles' playing time will drop down. Always important to watch Ingles' minutes in games where they're fully healthy. He's been putting up good numbers as like a 12-team league guy. I don't believe he's a must-roster 12-team league player, but he's absolutely fine if you want to have him on that roster. Well, the Don Mitchell.
He's Don. He's good.
A guy that does see his value spike also when Conley's out. More assists, more free throw attempts. We want to watch how that can go in a more prolonged run when Conley's there. That's the key for him. He's being able to maintain the free throws and maintain the assists. For the Pelicans, Josh the Hitman Hart's been getting 30 minutes most nights. Last couple have been pretty rough for him. I still think he can be a 12-team league guy. He's a definite 14-team league guy. While Eric Bledsoe, they've phased Kyra Lewis out of the rotation, and Bledsoe's getting more playing time again. His steals are back. He's shooting better. I haven't been obviously impressed. I'm not sure what Siri's telling me. Bledsoe's been playing better. I wouldn't say that he's a guaranteed must-roster top 100 sort of guy rest of the way, but with how they're deploying him at the moment, just add him, write it out, and then there'll be some downward swings coming at some point for sure. Next up, the Nets and the Spurs. We want to watch Nick Claxton because he is fun to watch. He's a lot more fun to watch than watching DeAndre Jordan, that's for sure. But watching Claxton and what sort of role he gets given on this Nets team is going to be very important. There's still no Kevin Durant, so that does help Claxton indirectly because it means Jeff Green pushes more across to the 4. So let's see, can Claxton work into the rotation? Can he take minutes away from DeAndre Jordan? That's key. And then the Shark, Bruce Brown.
Baby shark, do-do-do-do-do.
Who's been unbelievably efficient from the field in his role as a power forward / center type player. He'll start again with Kevin Durant out. Let's see if he can produce enough value to be a 12-team league guy. For the Spurs, they probably are welcoming back Keldon Johnson. So what they do with Aldridge and Poeltl remains a big question mark here. How much do they play Pirtle? Are they going to commit to playing Pirtle as the starter over Aldridge? I'm not sure they will, but they possibly could. So there's definitely some concern there in terms of Aldridge's long-term value, but it could be interesting for Pirtle. But then, of course, they could bench him and play him 19 minutes a night, which is going to reduce so much of Pirtle's value. And then let's pay attention to DeMar DeRozan, who really is the hub of what San Antonio does on offense, especially when you have other point guards like Derek White out, and then you've got Devin Vassell out coming off the bench. Everything runs through... he's not playing, Vassell off the bench. No Rudy Gay, so veteran leadership stuff goes towards DeRozan. He's got high assists. He's very efficient from the field. He's not hitting threes, of course, that's usual, but scoring and getting assists, he's been really, really good this year. Next up, it's the Nuggets and the Bulls. Michael Porter Jr., with all the injuries still there, I expect his minutes to be nice and high and his production to be pretty good. Is that making him maybe a sell high type player? I do think there is a possibility of that. I wouldn't say that it's a guarantee, but I do worry how that all pans out. While Facu Campazzo, he's just getting mid to high 20s most nights. He's producing steals, he gets assists, occasionally hits threes. He does have some 12-team stream ability. For the Bulls, Patrick Williams, who is wildly inconsistent. No Porter, no Markkanen, so he should stay above the 30-minute mark. But can he be 15-point Patrick Williams, or is he 7-point Patrick Williams? They're the big questions. While Thad Young, his minutes remain low, but usage through the roof, getting big steals, and also now getting assists. I don't know what to expect from Young when everyone returns. But for now, the value is sensational, and he's doing it on a really high usage, which again is so hard to wrap your head around for Thad Young. The Cavs and the Rockets. Isaac Okoro has been playing at a higher level recently. Top 100 player over the last week. On the back of some improved shooting and some improved defensive stats. I'm not sure I fully buy that. But in 14-team leagues, he's worth an ad. While Jarrett Allen, there's no love, there's no Nance. He's going to get a shit ton of minutes. He's usually going to be pretty efficient. But he does occasionally has some issues in that area, especially from the free throw line. For the Rockets, it is a back-to-back for them, so it is likely that John Wall sits out and Victor Oladipo returns. So therefore, David Nwaba and Eric Gordon, who the Rockets did confirm Eric Gordon would play in the back-to-back, so they're going to get a bump in value. Let's watch Nwaba, who's been really good, really efficient, and had some surprisingly high usage type games. He does have stream value here. I worry a little bit about what happens to him when Kevin Porter returns and what they do at the trade deadline, but for now, interesting to watch. While Eric Gordon, I want to see him do something that's not score. That's what I want to see from him so he can really cement himself as a top 100 player. I don't believe that he can do it, but I want to pay attention to see whether there is anything extra coming from Eric Gordon. The Hornets and the Blazers, a back-to-back game for Charlotte here. They were without Cody Zeller and Gordon Hayward on Sunday. The report is that Zeller is likely to return for Monday. Hayward, I didn't get that same confirmation, but we want to see that. And we want to watch PJ Washington Jr., who has been putting up some okay numbers. He is definitely more suited in terms of fantasy production to being a center. But if Zala's going to return, that's going to limit his center minutes, pushing more to power forward. So let's watch him. Let's also pay attention to Terry Rozier, who has been unbelievably good this year. Had struggled over the last week or so, maybe. Or maybe the last 3 or 4 games, but let's see if he can turn it around. Well, for the Blazers, with Harry Giles out again, that means more minutes for Derek Jones Jr. It means more minutes for Robert Covington, and Jones has turned into an excellent defensive stats streamer with some high field goal percentage. He doesn't do too much more, but he does provide those numbers for you. While Covington had an absolute stinker last game, we're going to be used to getting those sort of poor games from him. But prior to that, he'd been playing at a really high level. I expect him to have somewhat of a bounce back, and if he doesn't bounce back offensively, at least bring some defensive stats. Let's look at some stream options for category leagues. A couple of Rockets guys, Nwaba and Daniel House Jr. I'm looking at Facu Campazzo, and then a couple of defensive type players, Dorian Finney-Smith and Danny Green of the Mavericks and the Sixers, respectively. And for points leagues, some Rockets players there, Nwaba, House, and Tate. They did bench Tate for Sunday's games. There is some talk that was maybe just to match up with Jonas Valanciunas.
Jonas Valanciunas.
So we could see Tate back starting on Monday. Jakob Poeltl's a good point stream, as is the burner Jalen Brunson. That'll do it for me today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.